Hi everyone, and welcome to today's U of G online postgraduate College of Arts chat here on StreamYard. We are absolutely delighted that you could join us. So in this Q&A today, we're going to be talking about the value of an arts postgraduate course from U of G and some of the career pathways that you could explore. So my name's Ann Duff. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the Careers Manager for the College of Arts, and I work mostly with the College of Arts, but I also see students here in the Career Service as well. And I am a College of Arts graduate myself, not from the University of Glasgow, from the University of Ulster, as you might be able to tell from the accent. So I'm really, really passionate about empowering our art students to understand the value of the degree that they're doing and how to articulate that into the world of work after they graduate. So that's a little bit about me. And joining me today are some of my fabulous colleagues from across the arts and the career service, Hannah, Laura, and Marion. So I'm going to ask you all to just say a little bit about yourself and introduce yourselves to the potential students in the chat today. Hannah.
Hi there. So my name is Hannah Vuozo. I am Communications Manager for Careers here at U of G. I really have an exciting job because I try and engage students with all the sorts of opportunities that we have available, programs, events, and other initiatives. So really looking forward to talking about how that all fits into pursuing a degree as an art student and career perspectives. And I myself just graduated from the University of Stirling with a master's 2 years ago. So I'm still fairly early in my career and hopefully can speak from that perspective as well.
Thanks, Hannah. Laura?
Hi, my name's Laura Tansley. I am the Graduate Attributes and Work-Based Learning Tutor for the College of Arts. I'm going to glance at my notes. I hope that's okay, just in case I forget everything. So this role for students in the College of Arts, and I work with everybody, undergraduate right the way through to postgraduate researchers, is there to support you to identify, articulate, explore, and understand the skills that you're developing through your degree, whether that's through your learning or more broadly through all the different kinds of experiences that you have whilst you're at university, basically to make the most of your time here and to help you understand what your goals might be and the skills that you want to develop and how we can bring those two things together. So those skills that I'm talking about include the University of Glasgow's 10 graduate attributes, which are the academic abilities, personal qualities, and transferable skills that we feel every student at the University of Glasgow has an opportunity to develop. I'll talk more about those later, I'm sure, and you can find out more from the link that's just flashed up on the screen. So in order to do all that and to support you, I run workshops on skills surfacing. I arrange talks with professionals and alumni and community organisers. I support placements and a host of other things. If you choose to come to Glasgow, I'm here to support you to reach your goals, basically. And if you don't have any goals, then we can figure that out together as well.
Thanks, Laura. Marion.
Hi there, I'm Marion Anderson and I'm the Student and Graduate Enterprise Manager at the university. I'm currently based in our incubator in the Advanced Research Centre, and I support students who have aspirations of starting their own business or being freelance or self-employed. So it's trying to work out the skills you need to do that, and also the kind of legal aspects and trying to help you with ideas that might actually turn into a business in the future. Students who have started businesses, so that's really useful.
Thanks, Marion. And I've worked with every one of our wonderful panel, and I can absolutely assure you that they really, really, every one of them know their stuff and are very, very passionate about supporting our students. So we've got a few questions that we're going to talk through, just ourselves as a panel, just to tease out some of the things and the questions that we think you might be processing at the minute as you're thinking about possibly coming here as a postgraduate student. So whilst we're talking, please feel free to put your questions in the chat at the side, and we'll try to address those as best as we can in the hour that we've got today. So the first thing that I wanted to sort of put to the panel is, what do you think sets an arts student apart from students of all other disciplines? This is a subject very close to my heart because, as I say, I am an arts graduate myself. And when I came here as a careers advisor, I have worked with almost all students across the university. I've been the careers advisor for life sciences, I've been the careers advisor for engineering, I've been the careers advisor for the School of Education, and now I'm the careers advisor or the careers manager in the College of Arts. And one of the things that I think that really sets students in arts apart is, there's a few things. First is creativity. I really think that we have a lot of students in arts that are very creative thinkers. And this is one of the things when we think about the fourth industrial revolution. So if you were to Google 4IR, skills that are important in the fourth industrial revolution, this is the time that we're living through right now. We're living through a period of great change. And some of the key skills that employers are really keen to see graduates coming with include things like creativity. And I really think that's something that's baked into art students because of the subjects that they study, but also the way that they're taught here and the way that they're taught to think. The other thing that I think that art students have very, very strongly is something called cognitive flexibility. And cognitive flexibility is a way that allows you to jump from different things. So, for example, you might be in a job where you're dealing very closely with members of the public. Then you go and you sit in a room and you do a piece of research that's really important for your postgraduate dissertation. And then you are doing a presentation to articulate to a group of students that you're working with what that dissertation topic might be. So this is kind of where we jump from different things very quickly, very easily, and very intuitively. It's called cognitive flexibility, and I think art students have that really strongly. So those would be my top two that I think set art students apart. I wonder what the rest of the panel think. Marion, maybe come to you first, because I have a funny feeling that you might say something about enterprise.
Well, I think the thing that I see in art students is that their soft skills are really, really important, and they're very good at problem solving, and that's always really quite key. But we do actually have quite a few of our art students who have taken the plunge in the last couple of years, and we're seeing that there's quite a few of them are looking at social entrepreneurship, so non-profits. So we've got two of our PhD students that are currently embarking on that kind of thing. And it's not something they ever thought of doing until, they kind of got to the end of their careers. It got to the end of their studies and realised that, maybe they couldn't get the job in academia that they wanted and that they had to think of something different. But they're really enjoying that. But I think that's the thing. I mean, I would say creativity is one of the key things as well, but it's very much all about, being able to think outside the box and apply your kind of what you learn along the way in a different way.
Thanks, Marion. Laura, I wonder because this is what you do, this is the kind of work that you do with our students. I wonder if you could say a little bit about what you see.
Yeah. Well, I should start off by saying that I am also incredibly biased because I'm an arts graduate myself as well. So I think we're all very special and fabulous. But it's so clear to me as I move around the world, inside higher education and outside higher education, that art students have the most incredible communication skills in comparison to people of other kind of disciplinary backgrounds. Our communication skills are so great because of all sorts of reasons, because of the nature of the degrees that we study and how we study them and how you learn. So the fact that art students have to research, critically engage with material, but then communicate that research and that analysis in a really effective and engaging way means that we know how to write. But that's not the only way that we communicate, obviously, because of the way that you learn at Glasgow. You also develop those really key presentation skills and also those we don't just write essays, we write for all sorts of platforms and in all sorts of formats. And all of that makes us just incredibly effective communicators. And it's such a desirable skill, not just from employers, but from communities, and also just as a person that lives in a world. Is that big enough for you? Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone global there, Laura.
Yeah, sure. If you want to be an effective member of a society, then being able to communicate effectively, I think, is really, really key. So yeah, I would definitely say communication skills.
Yeah, and we are very much a global community, aren't we? I mean, like I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat bar, and I'm seeing people from all over the world. So we truly are a global community. And speaking of global people, Hannah, from the States.
Also speaking about communications, I'll be the first person to tell you that kind of set of skills is absolutely fundamental. It definitely helped me get a job as a communications manager. So yeah, all right. So what sets art students apart, right? You have to go back a while from the original question. I think I got two that first come to mind that haven't been said. I don't think intuition. That's not something easy to come by, and yet I think a lot of art students are already equipped with that when they walk in the door, and they really get to develop those in the degrees and then figure out the best ways to apply them. Yeah, as some people have said, kind of in the real world, like as a person and in society, but also more practically in the workplace, just being able to make decisions. And I think maybe connected to that is my second point, which is the ability to see things more holistically, see the big picture. I would say that that's quite valuable to employers, so that you can orientate yourself in a role and in an industry, in a sector, in an organization, what have you. So yeah, I mean, I myself have had both the technical and kind of arts sorts of backgrounds in my academic trajectory. So yeah, having those right brain skills are definitely come in super, super handy throughout life, and definitely in the workplace.
I'm going to stay with you, Hannah, because I want to sort of explore a little bit now about some of the opportunities that are open to our students when they come here. I'm seeing lots of questions in the comments bar, which I will go through and kind of deal with and give you a little bit of signposting around them, anybody that's put a question there. But I'm seeing a lot of questions about specific career ideas that students have. So I'm wondering if you could say a little bit, Hannah. So when students come here for a postgraduate course, normally it's 1 year, it's a 1 year course. What do you think a student could do in that 1 year period of time to use their time to the max when they're here?
That is something I can speak from personal experience on. My degree was 1 year master's. It was quite intense. I was a COVID graduate, so in some ways that seemed to drag on, but also flashed that whole year, flashed by. So I would say start small in terms of thinking about your career. It's easy to push that for later down the road and leave everything until the end of the degree. And I can understand why, because you'll be very deep in studies, you'll be really engaged, there's lots going on. The community at U of G is really exciting, and there's so much to experience. So I think rather than pushing all the sort of career development stuff to the end, just sprinkle it in, sprinkle it like sprinkles into your ice cream sundae or something, and it doesn't need to be that you do big career things at every step of the way. It can be small things. It could be joining clubs and societies, maybe looking into professional bodies that might offer student memberships for an industry that you're interested in, so you can kind of keep on the margins of that and learn a bit more there. Volunteering, connecting with alumni is a big one. I would say you can do that in a lot of different ways, and the Career Service offers many opportunities, as well as the college itself and all of the events and initiatives happening there. I guess, to package that all up, start small and keep building on that, because that momentum that you have will help you really hit the ground running later on down the line once you've finished your degree and are thinking, all right, what comes next? and hopefully if you do it that way, you won't feel super crazy overwhelmed, or maybe not as overwhelmed as you might otherwise be.
So there's a question here that I wanted to just reflect on. Let me just find it. Okay, so Ketan has asked, is it all right to not have a super clear idea / hyper focused on a particular job one sees themselves doing immediately after their postgrad? And the short answer to that, Ketan, is absolutely. Absolutely, it's fine. We'd be out of a job if everybody knew exactly what they wanted to do. So it's absolutely fine not to have a clear idea. As Hannah was describing there, it's almost like a jigsaw. Think about yourself as there's all these little parts that make up the jigsaw of you, and you might not actually know what that picture is yet, and that's absolutely okay. So when students engage with us here at the University of Glasgow, it's not about, as you even see today in the panel, there's representatives from your college, from the academic community. There's representatives from student services, myself and Hannah. There's representatives from student enterprise, Mariam. We work together. We are very cohesive. So what we try and do as a community, as a U of G, as a hashtag Team U of G, is that we try and make sure that we're giving you opportunities that you can develop little parts of you. And then when you develop those little parts, you put them together and they look like you get the full picture. So we talk a lot in careers and development about transferable skills and transferable strengths. There's absolutely okay not to know where you want to be in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, but keep working away on those skills, keep working away and developing those strengths, because when you do know what it is that you want to go for, when you do figure that out, you can reflect back and go, well, when I studied that course at Glasgow and I learned that, and that, I can see how that now applies. So keep learning, keep developing, keep getting involved in things, even if you don't know where it's going. And you'll learn lots about yourself as well. Self-reflection is really important, to be able to look back on at the thing that you did, or the piece of learning, or the experience, and reflect on it and think, well, what did I like? What did I do in that I really enjoyed? What strengths or skills was I using that I would like to continue using going forward? And then this is all part of your forward trajectory. In the career service, we absolutely can help you identify some of the ideas that are out there for you. We have a little middle course. So middle is our VLE, or virtual learning environment. So you can do a little online course when you become a student here at U of G via the careers, that will help you articulate your thinking, that will help you go, right, well, what is it that I like about myself? What are my values? What are my interests? How does that all link into the world of work? And what kind of jobs would suit somebody like me? So we absolutely can help you with that exploration process. So long answer there, Ketan, to a question that absolutely it is okay not to be super focused, and we can absolutely help you with that. Okay. Let's have a little look. I'm going to go to some questions now, and then I'll maybe come back to some of the other questions for the panel. So let's just have a wee sort of work through. So my major is filmmaking and media arts. So there's quite a few here. I will be studying part-time film curation. So those of you that know exactly what you're coming to do, and you're asking a question round about what opportunities are there for me to move into that professionally. Mariam, I wonder if you could speak to those kinds of questions. So I'm doing this particular course, especially things that sit within the creative and cultural space. What kind of support is there from student enterprise for students that might want to, because quite a lot of those jobs are quite freelancing, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we are actually in the process of developing our freelancer academy. So we're planning to launch that in September for the start of the new academic year. So we'll be working with people who can help to guide you if you want to be a freelancer. But we do actually have one of our graduates who's just actually come into the incubator, and she is actually a filmmaker from India. And she's actually just got a startup visa to stay in the UK to develop her filmmaking business in Scotland. So, you know, we are seeing more of people who are interested in these kind of areas, actually looking at the opportunities that the UK has to offer them in these different areas. So we have another business that started last year, an MBA, who his business is theatre arts, so it's ESC. So we do have a lot of alumni who are actually based with us that can help guide our new graduates and students if that's what they're trying to establish themselves as. But there's
Marion,
a very extensive network that we plug people into.
Could you also, that's exactly the question I was going to ask, could you say a little bit about how that network exists and how students help other students?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole point of what we are trying to establish, our entrepreneurial community at Glasgow. So we now have a shiny incubator that we can give people hot desking opportunities in, or, you know, once you start a business, you can get a full-time space. But the whole point of that is for you to be in a position where if you do have questions, you can actually work with people who are in that industry who can actually help you develop. We work quite closely with Creative Scotland and some of the wider networks as well. Scotland is very good when it comes to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, very helpful. We're working with the Scottish Government at the moment on developing the entrepreneurial campus initiative. So there's lots of opportunities out there. We also run our startup factory weekend, where people come along with ideas just to kind of work with other people to try and develop them. So there are lots of different opportunities available at different stages as well. You don't need to be ready to go. You know, it's like we do try and encourage people to try things out first before they make any final decisions on what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things in the career service that we offer for students is that we don't just talk about these kind of things, you know, in a vacuum. Oh, wouldn't it be great if I was a script writer? Oh, wouldn't it be great if I worked in the creative space? So we have several platforms or programs that will connect you to the labour market, that will connect you to real life jobs. So there's the internship hub, which is exactly as it sounds. It's internships across all sectors. And we have seen a real rise in the last few years of creative interns and internships coming through. The other thing that we have is a vacancy database, which has thousands of employers and thousands of opportunities on there across all occupational sectors. So we don't just talk about developing your ideas and your career ideas, or we can help you with that, and then that's the end of the process. We do then offer a platform of actual opportunities that you can connect into. As well as those, we also are part of we've used this term already, Team UFG and the alumni community. So Hannah, you've done a lot of work in the career service of developing our LinkedIn profile. I wonder if you could say a little bit about how students, when they come here to study, how they can tap into the UFG alumni community. Why should they do it? How do they do it? And what are the actual real-term benefits for them?
That is a very multifaceted question there, Anne. So I'll try and cover all those points. So one of the main suggestions that I give to students is to check out the alumni search feature. So basically, you go on to University of Glasgow, the university's company page. And as soon as you're on there, you'll see a little tab that says alumni. And if you click on that, you then have the opportunity to type in a job title that you're interested, a keyword, an industry, maybe a degree, to try and filter down and find alumni that may be of interest to you to learn about and see what their career trajectory has been. And once you do that and figure out who some of those people are, you can follow them and see what kinds of content they're posting about, or you can send them a wee message and see, oh, I'd really like to connect because I'm pursuing this degree and would like to do this in my career. So you've got a bunch of different ways to then engage with the alumni once you've kind of figured out where they are. Now, unrelated to LinkedIn, but another way to kind of engage in the alumni community and learn about what's happening is the Soundtracks podcast. So wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever, we've also got a website for it. There's a Soundtracks podcast from the alumni team, and basically it's very career focused and profiles different alumni who have shared their career journeys. You can find episodes for many different arts sorts of careers. I think that's the most popular area that they've been able to explore recently. So in any sector, you can listen to people who've pursued jobs in the third sector, or who've gone and done something in tech, which seems sometimes a bit more unrelated or indirectly related to an arts degree. So definitely have a listen to that. It's really quite interesting. And I think there are even some staff who are U of G graduates themselves who've been profiled. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Was there another part of that question that I missed, Anne?
So what are the real term benefits? So what if you engage with the alumni community, what could actually happen?
Oh, so many things. The possibilities are endless, but disclaimer, I can't promise anything. It's all up to you and down to a bit of luck as well. But you can just get some very real insight into different career opportunities. I mean, there are so many different types of jobs. It's impossible to know them all. And I think Anne and probably everybody here can attest to that. So, that's one great way to sort of explore things that you maybe hadn't considered, and then therefore learn about what that exactly entails. There are plenty of people who have no idea what a communications manager does. And I'd happily invite them to talk to me to learn about it. So that's sort of one way you can get very on the ground and very up-to-date information about what's happening in the role and in the industry as well. And those connections can later help you to find different opportunities. So if you have connected with an alumnus at company A, then they might say, oh, actually, we're hiring for some interns in the next month. So just keep an eye on that. I'd be happy to answer some of your questions about that. And they can help boost you to some really useful programs and things like that. And really then just provide great support and advice as you continue in your career journey.
Thanks, Hannah. Laura, as our colleague from the College of Arts, I'm going to ask you this next question, but I want to just quickly go to some of the comments from students. So forgive me, please, if I mispronounce anybody's name, but I'll give it a go. So Duane, my major is filmmaking and media arts. Carmen is thinking about coming to do the MSc in film curation. Srinithi is thinking about coming to do creative writing in the September intake. Tazkia is a freelance film scriptwriter and planning to study the MSc Creative Industries and Cultural Policy. Yun is wanting to come and do sound design and audio visual practice. So I think we've covered, I've just picked out some of those postgraduate titles, but I think we've covered from Marion from Enterprise and from Careers about some of the ways that they can engage with the industry, with opportunities. But I know also in the College of Arts, Laura, that there is ways that people can connect via their academic study with opportunities. For example, I'm thinking of using your dissertation as a practical experience. I wonder if you could tell us a wee bit about what happens in the College of Arts within the academic community to support students in their studies to kind of connect out there to the real world.
Yeah, lots and lots. But it's all very subject specific. I should say that right at the start. But in general, across the board, there'll be lots of opportunities to engage with researchers, practitioners, employers, and alumni through series of events that subjects often put on, like research seminar series, guest lectures, external people coming in to actually deliver aspects of the course. It all depends on what course you're doing and what subject. But there's there's a real commitment to ensure that students at the PGT level gain an awareness and gain connections with people outside of the university, so that it's really clear to you what it is you can do with the skills that you're developing, what paths you can take, and how to network, basically make those connections through an event, and see where those conversations might be able to take you, or spark an idea of a career path that you might want to go towards. The other thing that there are opportunities to do within your subject, but again, this is subject specific, will be placements that are a part of your PGT program. So specific subjects and specific programs have opportunities where you can do a placement, and that placement is assessed by all sorts of different means, often by a kind of a journal, keeping track of your experiences, and you'll receive a mark for that piece of assessment, and that will contribute to your degree. So that work experience and that opportunity to see how your skills apply beyond the university is actually embedded in the course itself. If there isn't that direct link, then there are always supportive members of staff who will be willing to help you explore the ways that the course can help you make those connections. So like Anne said, if you're thinking about your dissertation and you want to see how what you've been learning might apply in a particular industry, then your dissertation supervisor will help you do that. It might not necessarily lead to a specific placement, but what it will do is give you a piece of work that demonstrates how you understand the industry that you want to work in, how applicable the skills and knowledge that you have are to that particular industry. There are also lots of opportunities to do research and to contribute to existing research projects that are happening within the college. That will probably be outside of your actual course or outside of your program, but those opportunities are there nonetheless. And what I would say is, if there's something that is interesting to you, if you see an advert for a student research position and it's sort of a little bit outside of your wheelhouse, go for it anyway. If you see a research seminar that is that maybe sparks an interest but isn't directly linked to your subject, go to it anyway, because what you'll start to do is figure out all the different ways that your skills and your knowledge can be transferable across different subjects, across different industries, and across different areas. Just go with what is what is interesting to you. Is that helpful, Anne, do you think?
Yeah, I think, and then there's a couple of little points there that I would like to reinforce, because I see that there's a lot of people that could potentially be international students in the room are thinking about coming here. And we've worked with so many international students over the years, but there's a couple of little points I'd like to make specifically. Culturally, sometimes when people come to Scotland, it's a different culture, it's a different educational culture that you've been used to. And one of the things that I hear a lot from our global students is, you know, is it okay? Is it all right to do that? So we're very much a culture here in Scotland, and especially I think at Glasgow, of as Laura says, give it a go, you know, put your hand up for things. It's not perceived as overstepping any boundaries. We love it, actually. We're a big fan of people trying out things and going for things and putting themselves out of their comfort zone. So culturally, I would say when you come to Glasgow, that's very much a thing that we would encourage you to embrace, that have a go attitude. So Sarah has put a little message up here that I want to go to, which is, are there any career opportunities in journalism or newspapers related sectors in Glasgow? So what I want to kind of touch on there is clubs and societies. So one of the ways in which you can really, really engage with your community here at U of G is by participating in clubs and societies. It just so happens that here at Glasgow at U of G, we have a very strong and active and noisy sometimes student media, which is great. We love that. So we have a newspaper, we have called the Glasgow Guardian, we have the radio called Sub-City, we have a television station called Gust, we have several magazines. So whenever you come here, the first thing that you want to do is you want to seek out the student media and get involved in the student media. Because if you were to go for any media related jobs in the city of Glasgow, and they know that you came to University of Glasgow, it's so well respected in the industry that the first thing that they'll ask you is, were you involved in the Glasgow Guardian? Were you involved in Gust? And if you weren't, they'll go, why weren't you? Because there are excellent opportunities to get creating content, and in the case of the radio and the television station, to get handling kit, to actually get handling some of the kit, to learn how that all is used. So that's another way. So the question I asked Hannah earlier in the session about what can you do to really maximize your time when you're only here for a short period of time, definitely clubs and societies should be up there at the tippity top of your list as well. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through. Okay, so a lot of people start saying what you are coming to do and if there's any job opportunities. So I hope we have covered that. The one additional resource that I would like to point you in the direction of is a website called Prospects. So prospects.ac.uk. And it's a really useful resource that you can go into the tab at the top that says careers advice, and then what can I do with my subject? So for some of those people in the room that have asked, I'm not really sure what I want to do, or how can I progress this? That's a really good resource to look at, to understand the UK labour market, to understand the pathways from the course that you're studying. And we always think in careers in terms of job families. So you might be thinking, well, I'll come and do, so Adina, for example, is saying, hi, I've received an offer for a theatre MA, right? So I'm going to come and do theatre. So what, I would be a director, I would be a producer, I would be a dramaturg. What else could I possibly do? So when you look at that kind of options with your subject, it shows you lots of pathways within the occupational area. And one of the biggest barriers that I see by far for students when they're moving on from their studies is not that they've not got the motivation or they've not got the skills or the strengths, is that sometimes you just don't know the labour market, you just don't understand the jobs that are out there, especially when we're in a changing labour market where some of the jobs that exist now didn't even exist 5 years ago. So there's new jobs being created all the time. It's a very changing space. So using that little resource, careers advice, what can I do with my degree in? And then click into your subject title, gives you a really nice overview of some of the jobs that sit within that particular sector. And you can look at the job
here.
Oh, sorry, Hannah?
I was just wondering if I could jump in when you've got a moment.
Of course you can, yes.
Yeah, so one of the things, I do some career mentoring, like I volunteer and do that in my spare time. And one of the things I talk to a lot with my mentees is how to kind of incorporate your undergraduate degree and skills and everything you've done there into kind of your career and job search, because there might be some of you here who have an undergraduate degree in a very, very different area than what you're planning to study. And I think that can often sometimes fall to the wayside, but can also be really useful in trying to figure out what areas you already have skills in and are passionate about, and help you figure out how to target different kinds of career options. Because say you have an undergraduate degree in, let's say, computer science, and now you're pursuing something in journalism, you could do journalism for the tech sector, just as one example. And there are countless other ones and intersections of those kinds of opportunities and study disciplines and stuff. So just wanted to throw that out there as well, as explore tools like Prospects. And it might be another thing that you can kind of tie in.
Thanks, Hannah. So I'm having a little giggle here, Hannah, whilst you were talking. Kaitan has put in the chat, thank you for this great answer. As an international student, I find it hard to immediately not buckle under the "what will you be doing afterwards" line of questioning from nosy relatives. So we all have that. We all have that nosy relative who at Christmas time says, what are you going to do with that degree in English anyway? Are you going to be a teacher? So what we try and get you to the stage of when you come here to engage with the Career Service, and you engage with your academics, and you engage with people like Marion, is that you can answer that question very succinctly by saying, I don't know what I am going to do, but I know my strengths. And here they are. And you can guarantee that any nosy relative will immediately go, oh, okay, right, or whatever. So that would be my advice to respond to the questions that you get from relatives. What are you going to do with that anyway? Okay. So there's a few more big questions here. Let's see. Okay, Laura. Sorry, excuse me. So Chachan Gurul has asked, hi, I am wondering if there is an opportunity to do a PhD. So what would the process be? Can you say a wee bit about a student that comes here to do a one-year master's PGT, postgraduate taught course, and they then thought, all right, I quite like this and I would like to stay in Glasgow, at University of Glasgow, or, you know, in the city, and they were thinking about doing a PhD. How could they make that happen?
Again, it'll be really, really subject specific, but the fact that you've got this idea sort of ticking away already, I think means that probably what you can do is, as soon as you get to the institution, as soon as you get to Glasgow, if you decide to come to Glasgow, is just start asking those questions of your program conveners, of your supervisors, of your lecturers, and that way you'll find out what funding opportunities are available, either kind of at a subject level, at a college level, at a university level, at a Scottish level, and at an international level, depending on where you're from and where how you want to study. So yeah, just really talk to your supervisors and talk to your lecturers. The other thing to remember is that within your subject, there'll be lots of graduate teaching assistants helping to deliver teaching, perhaps not at PGT level, but at undergraduate level. And so you might see them around at events, chat to them about their experience of applying for a PhD, how they did it, when they started thinking about it. But there'll be a specific timeline within each subject for you to start thinking about making applications and applying, and they'll be able to direct you at that level. It's very subject specific, so I can't be any more. I have to be sort of general at this point. But people will be very, very happy to answer your questions and to support you through that process of the application.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Laura. And two other very useful resources when you're thinking about PhD. So for a lot of students, they will do their undergraduate course, then they'll do a one-year master's, just to sort of think, do I really like a subject, and is continued study for me? And if the answer is yes, they think, right, okay, I really like to move into research. You will see PhD opportunities advertised in two very specific places in the UK. So jobs.ac.uk and findaphd.com. Now, there's another really good community that you can engage with, which is a researchers portal. It's called Vitae, vitae.ac.uk. And Vitae is, as I say, it's a researchers portal. So you might not necessarily see PhD opportunities advertised on there, but you'll get lots of chat. Exactly what Laura was saying. Sorry, excuse me. You'll see lots of chat amongst researchers, amongst academics, about what's happening where and where things might be coming up in another place. So that's a really nice community to become a part of. So, okay. I think that's kind of us come to the end of the questions. I'm wondering about maybe finishing up there. Is there anything, Hannah, Marion, and Laura, that we haven't talked about that you think we should have talked about?
Could I just chip in a wee bit about the PhDs, because we're as I said earlier, we've currently got 4 PhDs who are all from arts, and they are all internationals as well. So, they've all come through doing a master's and then stayed on and done PhDs. So if anybody would be interested in speaking to them, Matt Leeper, my advisor, is also in that boat himself, and he's got a business and he's also working at the university. So these people are more than happy to actually speak to you about any opportunities you might want to pursue and how they did it. So, just get in touch with us and we'd be happy to sort that out for you.
Thank you, Marion. So Hannah and Laura, that's given you a little minute to have a think there. Is there anything do you think we haven't told the potential students in the room that we should have told them?
Laura, you want to go first?
Oh, we're so polite. I was just going to say, I can see in the questions that there's been a sort of thread about how it is that through the program that you're going to study, how to gain connections with industry, and all I can say is just it will be embedded in your programs almost certainly. That whether that is sort of directly with them coming in to speak to you or indirectly with opportunities within the subject that allow you to make those connections outside of your learning. At the PGT level, the relationship between the subject, especially if it's in the creative arts, will be much closer to the industry. The work that you do at PGT level will be informing how the industry works. You'll be supporting the industry in that way. So again, although it will be very subject specific and depending on the program, those opportunities will be there throughout. I can, in terms of subjects with people have mentioned like creative writing and filmmaking, film curation, theatre studies. Those programs and those subjects are very, very closely tied to industry and organisation. So yes, there definitely will be opportunities, but also opportunities for you to be creative as well and find new ways to link your work to those industries and to gain that experience. So I just wanted to reinforce that point, if that's okay. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you, Laura. Hannah?
All right, I have seen a couple of questions, I think, in the chat about being an international student and then graduate and figuring out how to stay in the UK to work. So I'm going to speak from personal experience. If you weren't able to tell from my accent, I'm from the States, unfortunately not Canada, but that's okay. I've been working on processing that for a while. So when I finished my master's, I definitely wanted to stay in the UK to work. So I looked into, in my situation, the graduate route visa, which is a new program, or at least reimagined program for international graduates to be able to stay in the UK after studies to work. For undergraduate and master's degrees, it's 2 years, and for PhDs, it's 3. There are a few different advantages for that program, and it was one that worked well for me, and that's why I applied to it, and I was fortunate to be granted a visa to stay and work here. But there are many others, and so if you are interested in learning about that, especially if you're doing a 1-year degree and want to start looking into that, I would recommend going onto the International Student Support page. They'll have more information about those different pathways, including the skilled worker visa. There's a startup visa as well. So we'll definitely start looking into that now, because some of those processes and procedures can be a bit detailed or complex, and it's good to just kind of have an understanding of them now as you start to kind of explore your options once you start at U of G.
Thanks, Hannah. And Marion, the same to you. Anything we haven't covered that you think we should have?
Yeah, well, I'll just say that the startup visa has just been withdrawn, so you can no longer get a startup visa. We have been an endorsing body for many years at Glasgow, but we're now a legacy endorsing body. So if you're looking to get the new Innovator Founder visa, then you have to go to an external endorsing body. So we have a lot of information on that. So if anybody wants to get here and they do decide they want to stay and they want to start a business, then we can certainly help them through that. We work very closely with international student support, so we're very up to date on what's happening on the visa front.
Thanks, Marion. And I'll reiterate that the international student support are the people that you talk to about visa, because they've got all the up-to-date information. So there's a couple of tiny little questions I just want to just quickly sort of ping through. And then we'll come to a final question for you. So Roman, you've asked the question about, does the U of G keep in touch academically, professionally after you return to your home country? You will be contacted after you graduate by our alumni office. And we are very, very keen. We've talked quite a lot in the session today about how we're all Team U of G and how our alumni community is very, very, very important to us as practitioners in our job, and also to you as a student, and also as an early career starter and as an alumnus throughout your entire career. So yes is the answer to that, and you'll be contacted by the alumni office after you graduate. Adina, you have asked a very specific question relevant to you. I think my colleagues have put a little link there for you. Yeah. So for visas and individual applications, it's going directly to the admissions team. And just one final one here from Chenier about how to get a lecturing assistant job. So that would be, I think, jobs.ac.uk. You'll see that kind of thing advertised there. Okay, so I think that's dealt with all the questions. My final thing that I want to ask our panel, yeah, I think that's that one. Okay, so my final thing I want to ask, first of all, I want to say thank you to the panel for your insight, your commentary, your thoughts, your opinions, your advice, your guidance. I'm sure everybody in the room has really appreciated it. I always love doing these kind of conversations because I always learn something new as well. So every day is a learning day. The final thing that I would like to pose to each of you is, going back to the position that these students are in just now, about to do a postgrad course. Now, I know, Hannah, you've done a postgrad. Laura, did you do a postgrad course, Mary? Right, so we've all done postgrad courses, right? So thinking back to that moment when you were about to embark on your postgrad course, what do you wish you had known then? And for me, if I could give my younger self a bit of advice, I did my degree in English. And after I graduated, everybody just said to me, you're going to be a teacher. And I was like, no, I don't really want to be a teacher, but I do like the idea of working in education. So long story short, I applied for the postgraduate diploma in careers guidance to become a careers advisor. And as I set off to do that, I think if I could have just told myself that, step into the professional self, Anne, this is your chance to like leave the student you behind. And I don't know if I've ever quite absorbed that piece of advice, that this is a professional start. This is something that's really applicable to the real world. You're going to come out of this and you're going to go into a job and you're going to be a professional person in the real world as an adult. So own it. So that's the piece of advice I wish I'd given myself, to just like own the professionalism of it a little bit more, because it really did professionalize me. Hannah.
Well, I wish I'd known there was going to be a global pandemic. That might have helped a bit. But seeing as I couldn't, no one could. I would say something I wish I had known was a bit more about the UK in terms of the labor market and how different it is from where I'm from in the US. Because like some of these are very kind of small details and differences in the way certain things are done. And I think that would have been useful, and just having an understanding of how to approach kind of career planning and career search and stuff would have been a bit useful, because like I said, it goes by really quick. So I think that would have helped me kind of get started a bit earlier and feel more confident in what options were available to me.
Thanks, Hannah. Marion?
I suppose my situation was completely different though, because I was actually sent on my master's by my employer. So I was working for the MOD at the time that I actually did my master's. So, but I think for me, it was like a completely different approach, because it was a different experience than my undergrad, because I felt more prepared for it, and I knew that I had to get through it since it was being paid for. So I think it's just that it was a far more mature approach that I brought to it, because I'd already been through the undergrad, and it was doing it as my second degree, so it was a completely different approach. But I mean, I did a science degree the first time round, so and then I did information science the second time round, so it's completely different subject area as well. My main disappointment was the fact that my employer didn't let me do the placement somewhere else. So I had to actually go back to work to do my placement.
Thanks, Marion. And you're not bitter about it at all, Marion? No. Thanks. Laura, what advice would you have given your younger self?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, it would be the power of, hi, my name is Laura and I'm studying blah, 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 blah. If I had gone up to everybody that I really wanted to talk to and just said that sentence and had a conversation, then I think I would have had I would have been able to make connections much quicker, meet some amazing people, learn new things, find myself in situations and opportunities that were really exciting. But because I was a little bit shy and wondered whether I even had a right to approach a person, I didn't always do that. And I think if I flip it around and think about anyone that's ever come up to me and said, hi, my name is, and I study this, I'm always so happy to have a conversation. It's never about, I never feel like, oh no, don't talk to me. We want to talk to each other. And so if I had known that sort of maybe 7-8 months before, instead of, if I'd learned that in September rather than in, March, then I think I could have got going a bit quicker. So yeah, I would say the power of hi, how are you, can never be underestimated when it comes to meeting people, making connections, and just having a really good time whilst you're here.
Thanks, Laura. That's lovely advice. A really nice note to end on. So can I once again thank the panel, Hannah, Marion and Laura. Can I also thank Sia and Viv in the College of Arts for organising this session today, because I think it's been really, really useful and a really nice thing to participate in and to offer for you or potential students. Can I thank you for coming and being...
And can we thank you, Anne, for hosting and doing such a fabulous job of keeping track of everything. Thank you so much, Anne.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. Sometimes when you do these kinds of activities, it's called work, but it doesn't feel like work. It's just like having a chat with your pals. So I love it. And thank you very much to all of the students for coming and asking your questions, when that really has helped fuel the conversation. And I would love to see you here at the University of Glasgow, and would love to see you here in the College of Arts. But all the best of luck with your decision making.